In Nigeria today, politics is like a battlefield. Not with guns and bombs, but with words, plans, and power moves. And right now, one of the loudest voices on that battlefield belongs to Yunusa Tanko. He is not speaking in whispers. He is not holding back. He is talking with fire in his voice and urgency in his heart. Tanko, who serves as the Interim National Coordinator of the Global Obidient Movement for Peter Obi, has stepped forward with something that is shaking the table in political circles. He is calling it Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult. The name alone is enough to make people stop and listen. It's bold. It's direct. It says exactly what it means. This is not a coded message. This is not political sweet talk. It is a battle cry against one of the oldest and ugliest problems in Nigerian elections, rigging. When Tanko says make rigging difficult, he is not joking. He is not talking about sending polite letters or holding endless press conferences. He is talking about changing the game before the first ballot is even cast. He is talking about making sure that those who try to manipulate elections will find the road blocked at every turn. Why now? Why speak like this in 2025 when the 2027 elections are still ahead? The answer is simple, because the wounds of 2023 are still open. For millions of Nigerians, that election was not just a political event, it was an emotional one. People hoped, people voted, people waited, and then, they felt robbed. The 2023 election is still fresh in the minds of the Obidient movement. There were late-night shocks, sudden changes in results, and the feeling that something had been stolen from the people. Many believed that Peter Obi had the momentum, the support, and the will of the people behind him, but somehow, the final numbers told a different story. Tanko was there. He saw it. He heard the anger. He felt the frustration. And for him, the lesson was clear: if you wait until after the votes are counted to complain, it's already too late. By the time results are announced, the damage is done. So, he has decided that 2027 will not be fought like 2023. This is why Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult is not just a catchy phrase, it is a full strategy. Tanko wants the people, the movement, and even the political opponents to know that this time, there will be eyes everywhere, ears everywhere, and action everywhere. He says the mission is simple. If you make it harder to rig, you make it easier for the real winner to emerge. If you close the doors to manipulation, you open the doors to fairness. And if you protect the process, you protect the people's choice. For Tanko, this is not about crying foul when it's too late. It's about making sure the foul never happens. He believes the only way Peter Obi can have a true shot at victory is if the election is clean from start to finish. And that cannot happen by accident, it has to be planned. He talks about the need for vigilance long before the election day. According to him, rigging does not just happen in the polling units, it begins in the planning stages, in the voter registers, in the way materials are distributed, in the way officials are selected. If these weak spots are left open, then what happened in 2023 will happen again. But if they are blocked early, then the game changes. Tanko knows that this will not be easy. Rigging in Nigeria is not done by amateurs. It is done by people who have practiced it for years, people who know the loopholes, people who benefit from the confusion. That is why he is calling on every obedient, every supporter, and every believer in democracy to be part of this mission. He says this operation is not about violence, not about chaos, and not about breaking the law. It is about being smart, being prepared, and being everywhere at once. It is about knowing the rules better than those who want to break them. And his message to those thinking of manipulating 2027 is clear: this time, you will not find it easy. The boldness of Tanko's words is already making waves. Some see it as a warning. Others see it as a promise. But one thing is sure: it has made the Obidient movement feel alive again. People who had started to lose hope after 2023 are now feeling the fire return. He is not speaking like a man who is hoping for a miracle. He is speaking like a man who is preparing for a fight, not a fight of fists, but a fight of organization, information, and action. Tanko repeats that 2023 was a wake-up call. Too many people trusted the system without guarding it. Too many assumed that once they voted, their job was done. But in Nigeria, that is never the case. If you want a free election, you have to defend it every step of the way. And this time, the defense will not be left to chance. From voter registration to collation, from the smallest village polling unit to the largest city center, Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult will be present. Tanko says that if the process is protected, then the results will speak the truth. And if the results speak the truth, then Peter Obi stands a real chance of becoming Nigeria's next president. But if the process is left unguarded, then 2023 will repeat itself, and this time, people may not forgive. For him, the 2027 election is not just about winning. It is about proving that Nigeria can hold an election where the people truly decide the outcome. It is about ending the culture of rigging that has haunted the country for decades. He believes that if the people stand together, no amount of manipulation can overpower them. And so, he is not begging, he is mobilizing. He is not waiting, he is acting now. In his own words, Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult is more than a plan, it is a movement inside the movement. It is a mission to guard the vote before the vote is even cast. And as Tanko speaks, one thing becomes clear, 2027 will not be business as usual. Not for the Obidient Movement. Not for Peter Obi. And certainly, not for those who think the old ways of doing politics will still work. This is the bold declaration. This is the start of a fight that will be fought with brains, numbers, and preparation. And if Tanko's words are anything to go by, it will be a fight that changes the way Nigerians see their democracy. When Yunusa Tanko talks about 2023, his tone changes. It is not just political analysis, it is personal. He calls that election a lesson written in bold letters, a lesson that the Obidient Movement cannot afford to ignore. For him, 2023 was more than just a contest for power. It was a test of Nigeria's democracy. A test that, in his eyes, the system failed. In that year, millions of Nigerians believed they were witnessing something new. They saw Peter Obi rise from being dismissed as just another candidate to becoming the symbol of hope for change. People stood under the sun for hours to register, to collect their PVCs, to cast their votes. It was not just about politics, it was about a dream. But the dream quickly met the reality of Nigerian elections. Reports of missing result sheets, sudden network failures during result uploads, late arrivals of election materials, and unexplained discrepancies between polling unit results and announced figures began to spread. People who had gone to bed thinking their votes would count woke up to confusion and anger. Tanko says this was not a surprise to those who understand the mechanics of rigging. Rigging does not happen only at the collation centers where results are announced. It begins much earlier, quietly, in small moves, often unnoticed until it is too late. He breaks it down like this. First, there is voter suppression, making it harder for certain people to register, collect their PVCs, or even find their names on the voter list. Then comes logistical manipulation, ensuring some areas get their materials late, or not at all, which discourages turnout. After that, there is ballot box interference, stuffing, snatching, or destroying votes. And finally, there is result tampering, altering figures during collation or uploading. In 2023, Tanko says, all these tactics were seen in one form or another. And the result was what he calls a technical robbery of the people's will. But here's the key point. Instead of sitting down to complain endlessly, the Obidient Movement started taking notes. Every weak point was marked. Every loophole was studied. Every pattern of manipulation was mapped out. That is why Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult is not starting from scratch. It is built on a detailed understanding of where the system failed in 2023 and how to seal those failures in 2027. Tanko believes the first step is mass voter education. In 2023, many Nigerians didn't fully know their rights or the election guidelines. Some did not know that they could insist on seeing result sheets before leaving the polling unit. Some didn't know they could record and report incidents in real time. Others didn't even know what to do when officials refused to upload results immediately. In 2027, Tanko says, that ignorance will not be allowed. The Obidient Movement will train people, not just to vote, but to defend their vote. Every supporter will know the law, the process, and the red flags to watch for. The second step is building volunteer networks. Tanko talks about having trained observers in every ward, every polling unit, every collation center. Not just in the cities, but deep in rural areas where manipulation is often easier because no one is watching. These volunteers will not be random, they will be trained, organized, and ready to act. The third step is real-time reporting systems. In 2023, many irregularities were only exposed after the election, when it was too late to correct them. This time, Tanko says, there will be a system to report issues instantly, whether through phone hotlines, encrypted apps, or local command centers. The idea is simple: the faster a problem is reported, the harder it is to cover it up. The fourth step is technology tracking. Tanko says the Obidient Movement will make sure results from each polling unit are independently recorded and compared with official uploads. Any mismatch will be flagged immediately. In 2023, too much trust was placed in official channels. In 2027, there will be parallel verification to ensure no sudden changes go unnoticed. For Tanko, these are not just ideas, they are survival strategies. He knows the forces against free elections in Nigeria are strong. But he also believes they can be defeated if you prepare early and refuse to be caught off guard. He also understands something else: rigging thrives in darkness. It survives when people are not watching, when there is no quick response, when the system is left to run itself without accountability. The goal of Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult is to flood the process with so much light that there is nowhere for manipulation to hide. Tanko warns that those who plan to rig in 2027 will have to work 10 times harder than before, because every move will be monitored. And if caught, the exposure will be instant and public. One of his strongest points is that prevention is better than protest. Too often in Nigerian politics, politicians cry foul after losing, but by then, the damage is permanent. He insists that the Obidient Movement cannot afford to wait until the end to react. The fight must start before the first PVC is printed, before the first ballot paper is delivered. That's why Tanko keeps stressing that 2027 is already here in terms of preparation. Those who start planning only in the election year will lose. Those who start now will have the advantage. For him, this operation is not just about defending Peter Obi's chances, it's about defending the very idea of fair elections in Nigeria. If the people allow 2023 to repeat itself, then it sends a message that rigging is normal and unchallenged. But if they fight back and make manipulation impossible, it sends a new message, that Nigeria's democracy has teeth. Tanko is also careful to explain that this mission is not about violence or breaking the law. It is about using legal, peaceful, and intelligent methods to guard the process. He knows that any hint of violence can be used as an excuse to disrupt the election or discredit the movement. So, the focus is on smart resistance, not street chaos. Still, he makes it clear that the movement will not be timid. It will not be silent. It will not allow any suspicious activity to pass without being challenged. In his words, the difference between 2023 and 2027 will be like night and day, not because the system will magically fix itself, but because the people will refuse to let history repeat. For Tanko, 2023 was the bitter teacher. It showed where the cracks were. It showed how quickly hope can be stolen if you do not guard it. But it also showed the strength of the Obidient base, millions of people who were ready to stand for change. Now, with Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult, he believes that strength will be better organized, better informed, and better positioned to defend every single vote. He says the message is simple: in 2027, rigging will not be easy, quiet, or hidden. It will be met with swift exposure and strong resistance. And when that happens, the outcome will not be decided in secret rooms, but in the open, by the people's true choice. For Yunusa Tanko, that is the only way forward, and the only way Peter Obi can walk into 2027 with a real chance at victory. When Yunusa Tanko talks about 2027, he is not talking about it like a distant date. He talks about it like it is already here. He knows time moves fast in politics, and those who wait until the last minute to prepare will simply walk into the same traps as before. For him, Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult is only one part of the battle. The other part is building the strength to win, and that strength comes from unity. Tanko understands Nigerian politics well enough to know that a clean election is only half the story. The other half is numbers. If you want to win, you need the people on your side in massive numbers, and you need allies who can bring those numbers. This is why, even while working on strategies to block rigging, Tanko is deeply involved in coalition talks. He knows Peter Obi's movement is strong, but he also knows Nigerian elections are brutal contests where a divided opposition often plays straight into the hands of the ruling forces. He remembers how in 2023, despite Obi's huge popularity, the split among opposition candidates made it easier for the ruling party to claim victory. Different candidates were pulling from the same pool of voters who wanted change, and that division weakened the chance of a total upset. For 2027, Tanko says the movement cannot afford such a mistake again. This time, conversations are already happening, conversations with political groups, civic organizations, youth networks, and even individuals who may not be in the Obidient movement but share the dream of a fairer, better Nigeria. In his view, the coalition is not just about Peter Obi's name on the ballot. It is about building a force that no manipulation, no propaganda, and no division can break. It is about making sure that those who want change are standing on the same side when the battle begins. Tanko talks about three types of people that the coalition must bring together. First, the committed obedience, the core supporters who have been there from the beginning. These are the people who will campaign without pay, who will travel long distances to vote, and who will stand in the rain to defend a ballot box. They are the heart of the movement, and their energy will be the foundation of the 2027 push. Second, the silent supporters, Nigerians who may not speak loudly about politics but are tired of the current system. They are the market women, the Okada riders, the young professionals, and the rural farmers who simply want a government that works. Many of them voted in 2023 and saw what happened. They may have stayed quiet then, but they are watching closely now. Winning their trust will be key. Third, the strategic allies, political figures, regional leaders, and influencers who have their own followings. Some may not have been with Obi in 2023, but Tanko believes they can be brought into the fold if they see a serious, united effort to win. These allies bring not just votes but also local influence that can open doors in places where the movement is not yet strong. For Tanko, building this coalition is not just about politics, it is about survival in a system that often crushes smaller movements. Without alliances, the Obidient movement risks being cornered, isolated, and outnumbered. With alliances, it becomes a nationwide force. He says unity will send a strong message that those who want change are not fighting each other anymore, but fighting together for the same goal. It will also make rigging far more difficult, because the larger and more organized the opposition, the harder it is to manipulate without exposure. Tanko also warns that coalition building is not easy. Politics is full of egos, old grudges, and personal ambitions. Not everyone will agree on everything, and some will want conditions before joining forces. But he believes the 2027 mission is too important to let personal pride get in the way. In his words, we can argue later. Right now, we must unite to win. Part of the coalition strategy is also reaching the youth in a way that goes beyond slogans. Tanko knows that young Nigerians were the driving force of the 2023 energy, but many were left discouraged after seeing how things turned out. Winning back their belief will take more than promises, it will take action they can see. This is why Operation Make Election Rigging Difficult is a perfect rallying point. It is something practical, something the youth can join in, something that turns frustration into action. Instead of simply telling them to come out and vote, the movement will be telling them, come out and protect your vote. Tanko also wants to reach older voters who may not be naturally obedient but are tired of broken promises. He says these voters respond to sincerity and proof of readiness. If they see a coalition that is serious, disciplined, and prepared, many will choose it over the same old ruling structures. Another part of the coalition plan is regional balance. Nigeria's politics is heavily influenced by ethnic and regional identities, and Tanko knows ignoring that reality is dangerous. A winning coalition must have strong representation in the north, south, east, and west. It must show that this is not just a movement for one region or one tribe, but for the whole country. This means working with respected figures in every zone, people who can speak to their communities and show them that a united Nigeria is stronger than a divided one. It also means being ready to address regional concerns, because unity is not just about holding hands, it is about understanding and respecting differences. Tanko believes that once the coalition is in place, the energy of 2023 can be multiplied. Every supporter will not only be voting for Peter Obi but also for a larger dream of breaking the cycle of rigging and corruption. And when that dream is shared by millions across party lines, it becomes a powerful force that no manipulation can easily crush. But he also knows the ruling forces will fight back hard. They will try to divide the coalition, spread false stories, and use every trick in the book to weaken unity. This is why the coalition must be built on trust and clear agreements, so that when the attacks come, no one panics or turns on each other. For Tanko, the coalition is like the shield, an operation make election rigging difficult is the sword. One without the other is risky. Together, they make a winning combination. The shield protects from division, and the sword cuts through manipulation. Looking at 2027, Tanko is confident but not careless. He knows that in Nigerian politics, nothing is guaranteed. But he believes that with a united front and a secure voting process, Peter Obi's path to victory will be clearer than it has ever been. He also believes that if 2027 delivers a clean election, it will not just be a win for one man or one movement, it will be a win for every Nigerian who has ever felt powerless in the face of a corrupt system. It will prove that the people's will can be stronger than any backroom deal. And so, the road to 2027 is already being paved, not with noise, but with preparation. Tanko's message is clear: we are not waiting for the system to surprise us. We are preparing to surprise the system. In his mind, this is more than a political campaign. It is a mission to restore faith in democracy. It is about showing that elections in Nigeria can be won without cheating, and that leaders can rise to power through the people's genuine choice. If the coalition holds, if the operation succeeds, and if the people stay united, Tanko believes history will be made in 2027. And if that happens, the story will be told for generations, not as the year Peter Obi ran again, but as the year Nigerians refused to let their voices be stolen. That is the road Tanko is walking. And he is calling on every Nigerian who believes in that road to walk it too, because 2027 will not wait, and neither should the people who want to change it.